Welcome to Red, White, and Blue. From the right, I'm Gary Polland.
And from the left, I'm David Jones.
Tonight we welcome Mayor Annise Parker. Mayor Parker, it's our 7th year on the air, and you start the 7th year, and of course you've been with us for a long time on the show, and we love having you.
Yeah, and now one of the most influential Americans, so according to Time Magazine, I don't subscribe, but congratulations.
Thank you.
But I think David does agree.
Oh, well, I'm just happy that they moved Lady Gaga and the Entertainers into a different category so that I could qualify for the most, I'm number 17 on the most influential list, apparently, after Lady Gaga.
Well, that's certainly an honor. Let's talk about issues that are abounding in the city of Houston. Renew Houston. They're out there doing a petition drive. It's a long-term plan to repair the infrastructure of the city. What do you think of this idea?
Well, I signed my petition and sent it back in. I campaigned last year on the need for a dedicated revenue source to fix drainage problems in the city of Houston. Renew Houston is a much broader effort, and it has some elements I like, some elements I don't like, but overall, I think it's a good government solution for the city of Houston, and I'll be interested to see if they get enough petitions to place it before City Council.
But you were not consulted before they developed this petition, as I understand from reading newspaper record of this.
They certainly didn't ask my permission, but they visited with a number of folks. They visited with me because, as I said, I campaigned talking about the need for some source of drainage funding. We have to keep water out of people's houses. And they asked me if they came forward with a proposal that would address drainage, would I support it? I said I would. They came forward with a proposal that has drainage, it has streets, it has it controls how we do bonds. It does, but it has a lot of good elements in it too, and overall I think it would be extremely beneficial for the city of Houston. But if they don't gather enough petition signatures, at some point council is going to have to address this, and we will.
Why wouldn't you make an amendment to the charter provision and pass it at City Council, and in a way that does not handicap future mayors in terms of using bonded indebtedness for improvements?
A citizen initiative and referendum petition has to be adopted just as it was signed by the citizens. That's why I'm careful to say it has some things I don't agree with, but that overall I think it's an excellent proposal. And I would anticipate supporting it if it goes to the ballot. But they have to get their signatures, and then they bring it to City Council. We have no discretion at the council level once they get enough signatures. We have to put it on the ballot.
Well, I'm thinking if there's weakness in the provision, some people are suggesting that the pay-as-you-go aspect of it is a weakness.
I don't know that I would call that a weakness. It is a philosophical decision. The only thing that handicaps future mayors is it does freeze the amount of money that we are currently spending on infrastructure and says that we have to continue to spend that same percentage on infrastructure no matter how much we would raise with this new fee. And it also forces us to a pay-as-you-go. We rely too heavily on debt. Most government entities do, so that's an element of fiscal discipline that might be beneficial. But it does limit the flexibility of future mayors.
Do you think this group that's put this together knows what they're doing in terms of the politics of the matter? I have talked to Paul Betancourt, who's normally an opponent of these sorts of things. Said they've never talked with him. We had Bruce Hotze on. He was a nemesis of yours on the water rate increase, as you know. They didn't talk with him. You're saying they didn't get you in on the organization of it.
I didn't say that. They organized independently. They did discuss with me what my ideas were of the needs of the city, what I was talking about when I campaigned. Would I be able to support something like this? And I was very clear that I would be. But it's been my experience that Mr. Betancourt and Mr. Hotze and others of their associates would be opposed to it, no matter how broad or narrow it would be. So, but they didn't ask me who they should go talk to.
Well, it isn't, and to kind of wrap up this subject, but isn't really the big question, is there a need to repair our infrastructure that's been neglected over the past number of years?
Excellent question, Gary, and there is a serious need to repair infrastructure, which is what I keep coming back to. Whether I like every element in it or not, is it a good government issue? Is it something that would benefit the citizens of Houston? And it would. At the same time, we have also raised the water sewer rates in the city. because we had we were losing $100 million a year in the system, and we weren't keeping it in good repair. You have to invest in your infrastructure. That is a fundamental of cities, and we have neglected both water, sewer, and drainage and street infrastructure for a long time. And anybody who drives Houston streets knows we need to put some money into it. This is a way of raising money based on the amount of property you own. I don't want to get into an argument whether a tax or a fee, but I think it's an equitable way to assign it, and it forces some discipline into it. Now, I would like to see, and I would certainly intend to do this if Renew Houston goes forward, a team of experts to help the city oversee how we spend this new money coming in. I envision perhaps some of the former public works directors, bringing in some experts from the county, not people who are seeking business, but who understand large public works projects and help us prioritize how we spend it.
You just passed a budget, and I understand two things about the budget that I just watched you pass.
Only two?
Two things that I observed that are important.
Right.
One is that you were supposed to get $22 million of efficiencies taken care of sometime during the year.
There are actually three whopping plug numbers in the budget. It is a balanced budget, but there are three. When I say plug numbers, I'm very honest with everybody. $22 million in management efficiencies, and I can lay out where we think they are. $15 million in collection efforts on the fees that we charge and a fee overhaul. And then finally, about $30 million in sales of real estate that we know are surplus. We plan on selling them. It's not a great real estate market, so we're not going to give but we're not going to do a fire sale. We don't have to sell them. But those are three areas of the budget that are still open. On the $22 million in management efficiencies, I've heard a lot of folks out there saying, "Oh yeah, management efficiencies." We actually have a formal plan in place that we're working on fleet maintenance, take-home vehicles, and fuel purchases. Every one of our major fleet operators, and it's parks, public works, the fire department, solid waste, they have their own maintenance shops, they have their own parts inventories. We are going to consolidate that. This is the fourth largest city in America. Why do we need a parts inventory? You can get anything in a matter of hours. Let's do a critical analysis of what we have to have that we can't get quickly, and everything else we order as we need it. There's just a lot of money tied up in our overall fleet, and we're working our way through that.
Well, I expected more pain in this budget than I saw, and so my question to you is, did you not, as it looks, inherit a pretty good fiscal position from the previous mayor as you went into this budget?
The city of Houston is not on the verge of bankruptcy. It is better off financially than any other big city in America. I had some philosophical differences with the previous mayor, and I clearly felt that we needed to address some things in the water sewer system. But raising the water sewer rates doesn't help me with the general fund budget. It's an enterprise fund. It's segregated. We did that because that's something I really do believe has been a can that's been kicked down the road for a very long time. The general fund budget, which is what pays police and fire and so forth, was in pretty good shape. But the property tax revenues continue to be flat. Sales tax continues to go down. I came into office 6 months ago and immediately had to cut Bill White's last budget to trim it back, and this budget is essentially flat year to year.
Would it be fair to say, Mayor, that the budget situation you had inherited, that the previous administration failed to start taking action early enough with the declining economy, anticipating that tax revenues, and I think as comptroller you probably warned that tax revenues were going down, we're not going to have the kind of revenue we deal with, and it seems like basically all those problems were handed to you when you got inaugurated and says, here, you take care of it. I don't want to make those tough decisions.
In the general fund budget, I would disagree with that. One of the reasons that we look at the budget every month, one of the reasons that the controller and the finance director appear before council every month is so that we can adjust on the fly. You make your best estimate at the beginning of the year. We're 30% dependent on sales tax. Sales tax can fall off the table in a matter of days, some major incident. So a lot of this is it's a lot of guesswork and then a rapid adjustment as you go along. But I do think that there's some low-hanging fruit. There are efficiencies. Just again in the fleet management, we're also consolidating a number of city departments, and for us, we're a service organization. For us to save money, and I want to be real clear on how I say this, if we're going to save money in fleet maintenance or fleet management, it's going to involve people losing their jobs. And that is something that's going to happen over the course of the year.
You also recently had council authorized in excess of $2 million for a consultant to continue auditing the fingerprint division of HPD.
Correct.
This is beginning to be a huge problem for the reputation of the city. This crime lab with faults in toxicology, DNA, and now firearms evidence, and now we have fingerprints that have been manipulated to convict some people, it seems. What are we going to do about separating the cops from evaluating evidence?
Speaking about a problem that I inherited that's been going on for a very long time, yes, we had a debate at council this week about continuing the contract for an outside entity to go through our backlog of fingerprints, latent fingerprint files, and also to go back and reanalyze old fingerprints to make sure that we did not have incorrect data. But this is part and parcel of a whole series of problems with the crime lab, as you rightly pointed out. As far as I know, and that this is the last bit of forensic work that is still being done in the Houston Police Department. And I guarantee you that during the course of this fiscal year, it will be separated from the police department. We're moving rapidly in that direction, combined with the rest of the crime lab. But we're in active discussions on an ongoing basis with Harris County. I'm committed to an independent regional crime lab. At the very least, I intend to, again, this fiscal year, bring all the forensic work out from the police department. We now show the crime lab as a separate part of the budget, but it is still technically under the police budget. I want to either make it a standalone city department, bring it into the mayor's office. I don't know what I have to do, but separate it out as an interim step to going to an independent standalone crime lab. It's embarrassing. It's expensive. We have spent more than $7 million, probably closing in on $10 million over the last 6 or 7 years, trying to sort through decades of problems in the crime lab.
Let's talk about Metro. When you campaigned for mayor, you made that an issue that you thought that Metro needed new leadership, and you certainly have provided new leadership both on the board.
See the smile on my face. I'm very happy with what's going on over there right now.
Well, one of the things, of course, I have a number of questions. The first question is Metro ever going to start giving the city of Houston the money they originally were supposed to give every year, I guess, for road use or road repairs that we got at one time and then it stopped?
25% of the money that Metro takes in, their sales tax money, is now set aside for general mobility. All of the small cities got a slightly different deal. Houston, for whatever reason, has a very different arrangement. They get their money right off the bat. We have to do the work, and then we get reimbursed. We are in the process of renegotiating that so that we're on an equal footing with everyone else. And I expect, again, by the end of this, not fiscal year, but calendar year, we will be brought up to date on any monies from Metro. Part of it is our problem. We have to go ask them for the money. Part of it
You're talking about the federal government?
No. I'm talking about Metro and local dollars for general mobility. Part of it is that we have to do the work and get reimbursed, but that's no reason that we couldn't go back and renegotiate so that we are treated equally with the other cities and
you get your money first, then you use it for your mobility projects.
Our own mobility projects, and that's the way we are restructuring.
But we also
Metro.
need our fair share of what comes from
the federal dollars, and that's an ongoing problem. The expectation was that we would receive some $900 million of federal dollars for the next 2 phases of light rail, or the next 2 light rail lines by February. didn't happen. We have aggressively worked to clean up improprieties, questionable activities at Metro. There's been a complete change in leadership. The FTA seems to be happy with the work that we've done, but the federal dollars have yet to come down.
Well, I mean, with all of the criticism of Metro during the campaign and changing the guard, why would the feds trust Metro to handle the taxpayer dollars well if the mayor of Houston is not all that happy with them as an agency?
I've had 2 face-to-face meetings with Secretary LaHood, the Transportation Secretary. My staff speaks to his staff on a regular basis. My new Metro board members have traveled up to Washington. They're very interested in seeing us move forward with rail in Houston, but obviously they have a responsibility to make sure that the dollars are shepherded and spent wisely. I fully expect it to happen. It is in the president's budget, but we had to clean up some problems first.
Well, the columnist for the Chronicle, Falkenberg, quoted you as saying that you thought this $900 million was in jeopardy, and yet that she was getting nothing from our congressional delegation informing her that was the issue. Was she misinformed, or is this at risk, this money?
There is, again, I think they want to work with us. Our promise to them is that we will, if they point out a problem on our end, we will fix it to their satisfaction. And we've been working hard to do that. There's something called Buy America or Build America, and there are certain rules that cannot be circumvented. There was some question about whether we, in fact, were in compliance with those rules with the prototype light rail cars that we were buying. Again, it's you tell us to jump, you tell us how high, we'll do it. We are working very, very closely with the FTA, but they have responsibilities. We have responsibilities. The new majority board at Metro, new chairman of the board, new Metro president and CEO acting, George Grenius, who I think is doing an absolutely outstanding job.
How could he not?
Well, just the level of communication that's happening now, both with the community, with Metro employees, it's going to make a difference. But the FDA has to be comfortable with what we're doing. And everything they've told me is that if we fix our problems, the money will come. I'm saying to them, we've fixed our problems. Let's let the money come down and we can get started.
Another question about Metro, and this is related to the proliferation of police departments in Harris County. Why do we need a Metro Police Department separate and distinct from HPD or the Sheriff's Office?
That's really an excellent question. It's one that I've been talking to my police chief about it. And it's actually also something that became an issue in my campaign for mayor, a coordinated response strategy. There are dozens and dozens of law enforcement entities in the greater Houston area. Where does it make sense to consolidate? We've started not at the Metro level because I wanted to get my board and leadership in place over there, but I asked the chief to sit down with the chief of the HISD police and bring the constables in so that by the time school starts next year, we have a comprehensive truancy effort. One of the things that I noticed is that the ISD police, they police on campus. Houston police say, oh, well, they're ISD police. We don't have to stop this kid to find out why he's wandering through a neighborhood in the middle of the afternoon. That's not our job. That's their job. Well, kids are falling through the cracks, and we're going to pick off issues one at a time, put a plan together, and move forward on it.
So much to do, so little time.
Yeah,
right?
And you have a new police chief.
Yes,
and he's
had a tough time.
Tough time. Four police officers indicted, 3 others fired for beating a kid. Apparently, you've seen the video, and a few other people have. Recently, I read a cop chase of a kid on a bike, and he killed him. I was wondering whether or not.
Be very careful. He killed him. There was a pursuit of someone on a motorbike.
Well, there was a crash,
and that person fled, and that person did flee from police.
Right. I guess my question is, we have a lot of people in this town who are unemployed, don't have anything better to do. They're making their living underground economy. As we know, that's the drug business in some sense. And we
that
have
would be the illegal drug.
The
business.
illegal
Right.
underground economy. There's always a barter economy out there.
And Gary wants to have everybody checked to have their citizenship established, of course.
Well, if they're stopped by the police, sure, it's part of everything else.
I guess my question is, are you concerned about our manpower needs and the stress on police officers given what looks to be a very bold kind of criminality that we see in the city of Houston?
Every indicator of crime is down. We may not feel it, but the objective indicators are that we are a safer city. And despite conventional wisdom, the downturn in the economy has not caused minor crime to spike up. Do we need more police officers? I absolutely believe we need more police officers. Can we do a better job of how we deploy the officers we have? We can. Again, I sat down early on with Chief McClellan, and we looked through who he had in the department doing what. We're going through a civilianization program right now. We identified, I believe, 35 officers that can be returned to the street. I am going through a civilianization process right now of the Office of Inspector General, which again, also chews up a lot of police officer time and energy, putting those officers back out on the street. So we think we can do a better job with the officers we have while we are bringing new officers on. We have a couple of cadet classes scheduled this year.
Should police officers be involved still in all of the paperwork and the detention of 18-year-olds with 6 grams of marijuana when we know now that Gary's friend, the DA, has basically decriminalized cocaine in small trace amounts? So why can't we do something at the City of Houston? Why can't we do something in the City of Houston? No, that's what she's done, her policy. Why can't we do the City of Houston?
You need to bring the DA in. I will tell you that for the police chief that we enforce state and local laws.
Well, of course, you can enforce it by bringing them to the City of Houston and have them pay fines at the municipal courts.
And if that comes to pass, that we work out an agreement with that, I'm fine with that. What I expect from my police chief is that he manages his department well, he keeps the city safe, and that we enforce in a fair and equitable manner state and local laws.
Yeah, and one minor thought, not even minor, actually major, to tell you is that one of the areas that needs attention is children who are victim of sex offenses and assaultive offenses. Working through the Child Assessment Center, there is a tremendous backlog of cases that just don't seem to ever get smaller. And that's something that the police chief needs to take a look at. I understand there's personnel issues, but they need more attention because this comes from judges who I deal with on a regular basis who say they just don't seem to be working the cases like they should, and these cases just end up kind of out there and never handled. So just a thought.
I'm glad to hear that. I'll definitely follow up on that. As I said, we're looking at opportunities to civilianize. I've given the chief permission, even in a very tight budget, to backfill with civilian employees if he can get officers back into classified positions doing what they should be doing.
Which absolutely helps.
Your administration was mentioned in the New York Times recently as having, at the top level of your appointees, 55% diversity ratio, 55% white is what it was. You were well ahead of some of your other competitors in New York and other cities.
I didn't see it.
Yes. So I guess my question is, are you satisfied with the diversity of your cabinet and your department choices?
Well, and I would add a second question. Did you hire anyone based on their race or ethnicity?
I have. Each time it came up, I hired the absolute best person that was available. I'm not satisfied with the level of diversity in my immediate staff. I'm very, very pleased with the level of diversity across department directors. The key there is to making sure that you cast your net widely and that you really reach out to top-notch people and make sure that there's a diverse pool from which to choose. One of the reasons that my immediate staff is not so diverse is that I shuffled people in from other parts of the city that were already on the city payroll. But
Gary's interested in affirmative action for Bel Air.
No, actually, no. But I think. But
every appointment, I absolutely believe that I hired the best person available, and I did not look at race or ethnicity. But we have a very diverse, a new Hispanic aviation director, a new African American police chief. Interestingly, we are in the hunt for a new fire chief. The posting just closed. I don't know how many applicants I'm going to have.
Any women apply?
I do not know yet.
Well, interesting. And I was going to say, Mayor, that
I hope so.
what you're practicing is not affirmative action. What you're practicing is hiring the best you can and having a broad choice, as you said.
But you have to have the broad choice. You have to work harder to have people in the
right,
pool.
Finding the candidates, but you hire the best. I like that. One, we have 30 seconds to close, but I had to ask you about the Continental Airlines merger. Lots of critics are now coming forward and saying, oh my goodness, this is going to be bad for Houston. Our airfare is going to explode. We're going to lose Continental, which was a wonderful corporate partner with the city and a lot of our charities.
We are not going to lose Continental. We're going to lose some headquarters jobs, no question. But if you look at where the hubs are for the combined airline, you've got this arc across the top of the United States, and then you've got Houston down here. We are the gateway to South and Central America. There's no substitute for that. We're gonna do fine.
Thanks so much, Mayor.
Always a pleasure.
You can view tonight's show along with a follow-up discussion by going to HoustonPBS.org, looking at red, white, and blue at that site. So check that out. And until next time, get informed and get active.